Laliho, free enterprise fans, and welcome to our Monday night throwback race to the Laliho Swiss League flags. I'm Alicel, and I am joined here tonight by Vitasia. How are you doing tonight, Vitasia?
Oh, always doing fantastic. Love to be here for another Monday night community race. And we have four fantastic members of the community: Enjide, Poidric, Rex Banner, and Brybon. We have a lot of talent on the free stream tonight, don't we?
We sure do. And looking at these runners, all of these runners have been in the community for quite some time. I know Rybon was one of our big, just huge stars from, I think it was in the Laliho League. It might have been Adamant Cup. I don't. Time is a concept that no longer exists.
It all just blends together, absolutely. But yeah, we're doing, of course, for the past few weeks, we've been doing a look back at previous tournament flag sets. And of course, tonight's flag set does come to us from the Laliho League Swiss stage. One of my personal favorites. And, a lot of, apparently, I was talking with Enjide the other day. He was saying he and a lot of the other longtime members of the community got their start way back in Laliho League. So this is kind of a blast from the past for a lot of our friends today.
Well, and there are, Laliho League definitely had some, changed some things up. One of the big things was that we had Vanilla Giant for Laliho League, as well as no XP boost. So you're not going to get that 10 character slingshot or 10 key item slingshot. You're not going to get that, going to be able to go do that D machine unless you want to risk having to fight that giant bosses.
Yeah, I remember it being incredibly difficult. The meta was also changing pretty rapidly around that point in time. I think this is also the point in time where members of the community really started to figure out, hey, Eblin Castle early, that seems like a really solid play right now. So it really has been just fascinating to watch go through this history of how everything's going. We have 5 objectives. We do have to complete 4 of those 5. And it looks like our runners are off.
And we did start with a Yang. Let's see who he's going to be paired with tonight. That's a Porum, and that's a Magma Key.
Magma Key starts are always fun because it turns a lot of the early game on its head. The first real challenge in getting in through the overworld is figuring out, okay, how do I get underground? And now it's, oh gosh, I've already get underground, and it opens so much up. It really turns things on its head.
Oh, definitely. And, you can very, very quickly check, okay, what's my free key item there in the Fey March? Is there a pair of guards there? Because that is one of our objectives, and all 4 of our runners immediately heading underground. Not even going to look and see what else they have for sale or anything. No, we're just going to throw that key down a well.
It makes perfect sense, especially given everything that we have right now. With the flag sets that we have with T Wildish in particular, emphasizing doing looting in later spots. Those later spots include anything that's in the underground. So getting the early Magma Key certainly incentivizes going down and doing some looting, perhaps in the Fey March, perhaps at Dwarf Castle. We'll see what these decisions are, but that Fey March freebie is looking pretty enticing for these runners right now.
And let's just take a look and see exactly what key items we know we're going to need to beat the seed. We do know we're going to need both parts of Forge. We are going to need a pink tail, so we are going to need that hook, and we're going to need a twin harp.
Now, it's worth pointing out that those 5 key items, those 3 objectives were static for every seed in Laliho League. The last two objectives were randomized each time, and they could be anything in terms of a boss hunt or a character check. Uh, so it wasn't uncommon because those are generally easier to check off. Uh, to skip one of the two or one of the three other objectives. Although every now and then you didn't want to do the boss hunt because the boss hunt was in some place weird. So really it'll be interesting to see with the early checks that we have, what we end up deciding to do here.
And while we all went underground at the same time, I did see a bunch of different places we've gone. We have Rex Banner doing the dive down the Fey March. We have NG Dave and Poydrak who did the Dwarf Castle, and Rybon heading straight to Tamra and finds a deaf students teacher. That is awesome. Job, Dwarf.
Rex Banner, meanwhile, finds in the Fey March freebie is an Avenger, so that's going to be something very nice. And more importantly than that, does also appear to be sirens that are available in the Fey March for sale. So worth picking up a small stack of those. Right now, just 5. If we end up finding, for example, a coffin readily available in one of the other shops, haven't seen exactly what's in Tamra or the Fey March quite, or in the Dwarf Castle quite yet. But that might be something interesting where we can get some really early levels that could make this early game quite easy for everyone.
And that was a Fey March bosses. Yeah, we have so much more information than we did before.
I completely missed it. What?
Double sparkles.
Oh, yeah, okay. I mean, sure. I mean, I guess that they weren't guards, so nothing there, and probably want to avoid those for now, but, huh.
Yeah, it could be something very easy like Plague and the D-Lunars, or it could be Wyvern and Ogopogo.
They are Schrodinger's lunar sparkles right now. They could be easy, they could be absolutely horrible. Who knows?
But we do see everybody just kind of crisscrossing kind of all the same places they've already been. So while they do that, I do want to take a minute to shout out our behind-the-scenes staff tonight. We have Zald doing the tracking and Scala Kitty doing the restream. Thank you so much to them. They are doing the hard part of actually having to watch real close on what's going on, and we just get to talk, you and me, Vitasia. And it's been a hot minute since we've done this.
It has been a little bit of time, and it's always a pleasure when I get to work with you, Allie. You are one of my favorite people to jump into the booth with.
Well, thank you. You've always been one of those people that started back, gosh, you were doing comms long before I joined the community. So it's always just a blast.
Yeah. Vitasia's been here since before ZZ1. What was that voice? I don't even know. I'm sorry, everyone.
But we do see our runners now kind of converging a little bit on the Sylph Cave. We do see NG Dave going to go ahead, take a look, does get one of those trap chests. Sylph Cave being one of those locations that you're just not real sure that is a great place to try and get some early game loot, just because there's lots of trap chests here.
7, count them, 7 total trap chests, and when the trap chests are randomized in their locations, you can't really check a whole lot of them safely. So I think most runners at this point in time might check 1 or 2 at the very start and then opt to just kind of nope out, for lack of a better term, just for the safety of it. So Rybon really taking some gambles here, opening more than a couple in much later locations. This is really interesting, but that's the nice thing about T Wildish. If there's trap chests in the area, the quality of the loot is actually increased. So, uh, great heads up play there by Rybon, doing something a little bit unusual. I don't recall a whole lot of people, even at the time, doing that, but very heads up play.
Well, and we did see a Thunderclaw for that Yang. That is definitely a great pickup. Thunderclaw being one of those items that nobody really realized the utility of it until later, at which point then they increased the price by 10 times. And that's another Yang with a Dark Knight Cecil, and let's not.
Well, keep in mind, this is Laliho League, so it was absolutely, I mean, we had duplicate characters that were available to be on right now. So,
that's right, this does have dupes. I'm so used to having no dupes.
Well, and it's always really interesting, you know, do you grab the dupe, do you not? Yang is a very interesting character to have dupes for because, you know, one of the things that disincentivize dupes is having to get double the loot. And depending on your loot mix, it makes it a little bit weird. Yang, though, all he needs is levels. And by the end, at Zeromas, he's hitting as hard as an Avenger-wielding King. So, really interesting pickup. Dave went ahead and says, yes, I will take my double Punch Mage.
Well, and cat claws are something that are available in as standard shops. So if you find cat claws and you're willing to shell out the cash, yeah, double cat claw, double Yang. That's definitely something that'll put out the hurt. And Rybon finding the first part of the objective set, finding that adamant rock, just needs to find a legend sword. And going to go ahead and turn in Sheila 1.
Yep, this is a good combo right here. So already with the Adamant Rock, I love it, especially... Oh, and there's the tower key. So interesting. That does open up... I mean, most people want to do the tower, you know, combined using both the tower key and getting top of tower. You can do the top of tower without it. You know, keyless tower is a play that is often made in free enterprise, although it's a little bit of a gutsy play, so kind of excited to see that early on.
Well, and I would suspect that because we have 2 Yangs and a Porum, we're going to see some early checks here. We're seeing Antlion. This team is not currently very punchy or damage dealing.
Yeah, we did see those sirens early on, but I haven't seen any sort of other ability to deal damage. Hey, how about that nice Thunderclaw that you said we picked up for this Kenyatso that is just hanging out here in Antlion?
That's a very nice pickup. Although Yang still honey, I know. Well, and Kane also having the thing where if his wave is down, then he's weak to ice, and if his wave is up, he's weak to lightning, and it's flip-flop, so if you hit it at the wrong time, you don't get the value.
Unless you have him equipped with both an ice and Thunderclaw, then it's just all damage all the time.
But NG Dave only finding a poison axe. Not something that any of these party members can use right now, but it sells for a good amount of money.
True. Plus, I think it's important to get at least a couple levels between the fight on Mount Hobbs and this fight in Antlion Cave. We're getting at least a couple levels to be able to tackle some of our more difficult challenges. Possibly a Mount Ordeals check, or even in the Baron Inn.
Well, and finding a character that can make use of that Avenger that we found, a Kane or a Cecil, would be basically game-breaking for the early game.
Oh, absolutely. It would make everything go fast. And, I don't know if you knew this, Allie, but we're a speedrunning community, so going fast is kind of important.
Speedrunning? This time of year?
I know it seems so absurd, but I guess it's not quite tournament season, so we don't have to go super fast.
Well, and our runners look like they're trying to figure out, okay, where do I get the stuff? Where is the stuff?
Yeah, it's very stuff light up to this point in time. We according to our tracker Zald, we may have seen the cat claws if we want to go back and purchase those, but at the same time, this is not a party that is capable of doing much heavy lifting right now. You might be able to smooth your way through a couple of boss fights, but we're not capable of just tremendous damage output right now. Yang is nice once he gets some levels, but levels we don't have.
Well, and if we can find a heroin robe for that Porum, Porum Angie, Porum hit things very hard.
The heroin robe is one of those items that I am constantly amazed at how good it actually can be early game. It just completely transforms one character into doing quite a bit of damage, and Rybon showing us a vanilla Octomom there. It looked like they're the Watery Pass. Worth noting that you do want to do a couple boss checks here and there because we are still hunting for the guards. So, yeah, it's worth checking some of these one-off locations because, we're hunting a couple bosses.
Yep, and goes ahead, checks Miss Cave, finds Odin. That's a nice boss to know you're not going to have to deal with in a nastier location.
Honestly, I think in this particular seed with this setup, I'm fine with seeing Odin somewhere else because in Odin, with a couple of Yongs, each equipped with a Thunderclaw, with that nice quad weakness to Thunder, I think this party can handle it.
Yeah, but how about a Cecil? What about that?
Yeah, I'll take a Cecil too. If we can get past, we have a Lunar Sparkle first with D-Lunars here. Luckily, these D-Lunars are in the nice spot where we can, get past them reasonably easy.
Well, and I wouldn't be surprised once our runners see these D-Lunars. If we not see some of our runners... Oh. This message is brought to you by Senator Crocodile. This is our alt gauntlet. For those who may not be familiar with the randomizer, the regular gauntlet has the 6 battles that you fight in Fabul. It's very boring. It's the same 6 battles, and we like to randomize things. So we added a flag called the alt gauntlet, which takes encounters from the encounter table in the area. You get 5 fights, and you get things like crocodiles and piranhas and all of those enemies that you haven't seen for 30 years.
And of course, I still get confused. We call it Senator Crocodile because they're just sitting around. We have lots of crocs. But why do we call it Senator Crocodile here? Like, I always miss that.
We are getting the deep lore from Scala here in just a second.
Okay, now chat can hear me. Hello, chat. Okay, as someone who was there for the creation of the Senator Crocodile meme, I can explain to you exactly what it is. This has actually happened because of the Baron Throne location. I just remember there was one restream where we had the Alt Gauntlet on the Baron Throne, which is very similar to this, also includes a crocodile. And there was jokes that clearly this was now the Baron Senate that we were fighting. And I forget who made it. It was just somebody in chat just made a joke. No, but Senator Crocodile had such good policy changes in mind. It was like that sort of joke. And just me, I know I immediately grabbed onto it because I thought that was hilarious. And then it just sort of spread outwards from there. So that's why we have the Senator Crocodile joke. It was just like sort of one random like little comment, and then it ballooned outwards, and it's actually one of my favorite memes. And yes, Escrut in chat bringing up Senator Crocodile's filibuster, which is the fact that the crocodiles will do like the 2 bites chain attack on you.
And be sure not to throw a hourglass between that.
No, don't do that. Anyway, there you go. That was your free enterprise lore minute with Scala. It's like the equivalent of like the Canadian Heritage minutes, but it's just about free enterprise. And this joke is doubly awkward because I am not Canadian, but I know and appreciate Canadian Heritage minutes. All right, I'll go back to chat not being able to have you hear me. So I could just chill. But thank you for all the Canadian pride in chat. Much appreciated.
And thank you to Scala. It is always a pleasure to find out where the memes in this community come from.
I mean, it feels like that's a summary of most memes that are generated within our community. Someone somewhere said something funny and it caught on and it just kept going.
Now, unfortunately, the party that we have for for this Alt Gauntlet, this is not the dream.
No, I mean, so we're getting through it. And it's nice because normally this particular spot wouldn't have any experience associated with it, except for when it's Senator Crocodile, and we get experience for all the fights. It does look like we were given a Sand Ruby as well, so hey, one more character check that we have, which is nice to build out our party, because that Cecil, we need to be able to clear through Mount Ordeals to really before he gets online. Meanwhile, Rex Banner is showing us what that fight is, and Paladin's not bad, but that's 2 Lunar Sparkles that we're now dealing with, which means those 2 Lunar Sparkles in the Underworld, in the Feymarch, looks like there's an increasing likelihood of something nasty sitting there.
Yep. At this point, we are guaranteed either a Wyvern or an Ogopogo in one of those 2 spots. And of course, Pale Dim is a little obnoxious in his own right. He's affectionately known as Doot 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 by some members of our community.
When you have 3 characters hitting for melee, this is the Doot 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 fight for sure.
But I believe we did pick up another Porum from the Sand Ruby. Oh no, it was a Palom. Oh good, we have both twins.
Really could have used both twins when we needed to sweep through something, like, I don't know, in a gauntlet or something.
Well, and Rybon using that free enterprise Final Fantasy IV knowledge, putting that Mute Knife on that Palom. Mute Knife actually does increase the black magic stat. And we also find Mylon and Ghasts here.
That's
So this is like French vanilla.
Prince Vanilla. It's right next door. Rybon is doing something interesting. He is going underground and taking an egg fight using one of the sirens that he purchased, and is bluffing up Hallam as much as he can. You can bluff up a lot, and it keeps doubling to doubling to doubling the attack stat, to the point where you can cast Twin and actually kill an egg, even at low levels. These levels that Rybon is gaining is going to make everything moving forward much, much, much easier.
Now, just shy of Quake on that Palom, and I did notice that Rybon taking down that Cecil, because I don't know how the video game works after 5 years. We don't get the XP boost from 10 key items, right? For no XP boost? Or is it no slingshots?
I think it's no slingshots at that point in time.
So I wonder if by taking down that Cecil, Rybon was setting up for a slingshot and is going to be sorely disappointed.
Well, once you're through the Mount Ordeals, Cecil's levels reset to level 1. I think it's mostly killing him, knocking him down, because you had to do several bluffs on Palom, and it's just reducing the number of turns that you have to parry. I think it was as simple as that. It wasn't necessarily a level setup. It was just a matter of wanting to make sure that you get back around to another Palom turn as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's probably right. It's kind of like why you kill everybody except for Porum and Edge when you're stealing sirens.
Arapis, funny story. There's no, that XP split option is not. I mean, that's not how it works in Free Enterprise. It's the experience that is listed and it's given to every party member that's alive. There's not an increase in experience that is shared with a smaller pool of characters if people are down. It's a bit of a change from how vanilla experience works. We've also increased it so that every enemy gives the full experience points to every member of the party, as opposed to splitting it, as your party size increases. So that kind of old mechanic in the vanilla version of Final Fantasy IV is not a thing.
Unless you turn that flag on.
Unless you turn that flag on, yeah, which that would be horrible.
And Rex Banner showing us the fight here at the top of Mount Ordeals. This is Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man meme here.
I mean, if Yang is really going to fight his inner demons, it makes sense for that karate fight to be it. So, okay.
Now, funnily enough, not that that's a hard fight, but the rest of our runners are going to have an easier time with that, with having this Cecil, who is going to be Paladin Cecil, who is going to hit the scripted part of the fight.
Absolutely. After, if you have Paladin Cecil for that fight, he swings at you once, he does a kick, he swings at you a second time, and as long as Cecil hits him after anytime after that second swing, he has a script, and he goes, ouch, and he immediately falls over, which is incredibly useful to know when he is in a very high HP location, and you're kind of an undersized party, for example.
And we also missed it, but that is a pink tail. That is half of Objective 2, so getting a little closer there.
There we go. Now chat can hear me again. I was gonna say, actually my favorite part of the whole karate fight is the fact that Yang uses a sword.
Yeah,
Isn't it a black sword too?
It is a black sword, which is like it's a weird coding thing where they don't have him actually do the punch, because I forget, I know there's a reason for it. But you get to see, like, I think it's because it's the default equipment or something. It's something really weird and corner casey like that. Anyway, but there you go. There's Young using a sword. We need also shoutouts. We got featured in one of those Final Fantasy facts that you don't know videos. Free Enterprise got featured in one of those. Like you can come ask us for more weird esoteric Final Fantasy IV facts, because we know those, and we know the Free Enterprise ones. There are so many facts. See, now I just want to make actual Free Enterprise Heritage Minutes a thing.
I mean, I'm down for it.
No, but then that's work.
I'll tell you what, I'll make us a
true.
GIF.
Yes.
I'll make us a GIF. That's just going to be the more you know, only it's going to be in like Free Enterprise Rainbow or something like that.
Oh no. Don't give me ideas when I can't open Photoshop. That's not fair.
Y'all don't just use MS Paint.
No.
I just use MS Paint.
I've had this version of Photoshop since before they started coming up with the whole cloud subscription. They are never taking it away from me. Anyway, I'll let you go back to actual useful Free Enterprise knowledge and not just random FF4 esoterra.
Meanwhile, Rybon is doing Castle Evelyn, a great place to get some good experience points. Notice he has Cecil set up in the back row. I think the primary reason is most everything in this castle just focuses on melee hits. So if you have Cecil set up in the back row, he can pretty well auto-cover everyone when they eventually die, and then we have to raise them up, and then he just uses life on them. And as long as he's set up in the back row and has some decent armor, even a level 1 Cecil can tank a lot of hits.
Unfortunately, we don't have a real fast way to kill these guards. Or not guards, mad ogres. And Poydrak is getting bullied by a yellow dragon.
The one character he probably wanted to keep up was that Palom, who fell over, unfortunately.
Yep. We've all miscalculated and accidentally summoned an egg. At least he didn't. At least he had more than 1 HP and didn't wipe on his grind, because I've totally never done that. Several times.
No, that's not a thing that's ever happened. Rybon moved through that screen faster than allowing any of us to see. Oh, there's that heroine robe we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, unfortunately, with a Cecil a little late, so. But Rybon having Quake for this fight, gonna make it a lot faster. But Cecil get paunched.
Cecil did get paunched and then immediately loses the experience from this particular fight. But I just realized that all of his party was named after pies, and Yang is 3.1415. Okay.
I'm not quite sure why we're on a pie theme for Rybon. My knowledge of random days of the year is that we're a month and a day too soon.
I believe this is a reference because way back during Laliho League, I think there was a reference to something to like different pies that people, and there was a race that everyone named everything after different pies, or people were asking what's your favorite pie, and someone was saying pizza, and I think it's a reference to the Laliho League at that point in time.
That's right, that is more deep lore.
We're just filled with all the lore tonight. This is, if you ever want to, introduce someone to Free Enterprise and everything that could possibly be going on behind the scenes, just send them a link to this restream. We're gonna explain all the lore tonight.
But Rybon only getting a moon veil there, not finding that nice holy sword he was looking for.
No, Poydrick, though, in the meantime, is doing Dwarf Castle, does find a couple things that are really interesting. First of all, Fusoya, which is, yeah, get out of here, Palom. We're, honestly, probably get out of there, Porum. But doing fantastic now with that Fusoya. 2, the first boss in Dwarf Castle was the wonderful, fantastic D-Mist. So it is bonus round for those of you who it maybe has been a minute when freebies are not turned on. The item that is normally located in Edward's spot in Troya, which we can freely access anyways, is instead relegated to being held by Rydia's mother in the Mist Village after she dies, and she only dies after you kill the Mist Dragon. So we now have an extra key item that is available to us to go pick up off the ground.
Yep. Now, the key when you have long fights like this, don't forget that you killed D-Mist. Because there's nothing more heartbreaking than doing literally everything else in the game and then being like, oh yeah, I killed that D-Mist 35 minutes ago. But Poydrak also getting that Baron key, that is 3 more boss checks, 2 more key item locations. But gonna go ahead and do the tower. This makes sense. You don't want to have to go up and down to go in the underworld. And you have a foo with nuke. Just full stop. You just microwave anything that moves.
That's really interesting. We have a foo with nuke, but not with quake. And it looks like he's missing about half of his spell list for white magic as well. So really kind of an interesting foo that we have. Foo, of course, powering up. He unlocks 3 spells and 100 HP for every enemy we end up, every boss we end up defeating. So a little bit different to power up foo because we think an out-of-the-box foo with 1900 HP and a full set of magic would be just a little too OP otherwise.
Well, and that Cure 4 and that nuke actually coming exceptionally early. Spells are somewhat weighted to having the better spells come later, but every once in a while you just get that food that just has nuke early. And Rybon taking your suggestion, getting rid of the Porum, that's always a little scary to me because if you have a sketchy Z fight, that 190 MP does not go a long way.
It doesn't, but right now we're set up for triple melee, which you can math it out and probably like, okay, I'm going to be casting Cure 4 twice, maybe 3 times at the very most, if you set things up properly. Plus you have a Palom who's going to be doing some reflecting. Unless things go dramatically off the rails, we're probably going to be all right.
And we are finding at least one version of leg up here. This is the elements. Yeah, probably the scariest part is going to be phase 1 because there's no magic power up here. Like, it practically doesn't exist.
We have Dr. Lugay at the very top of the tower. Who would have thought that he's great? He's a great machinist, but he and Sid have a lot more in common than just that. They just don't do magic very well at all.
And rather than try and hit a weakness with that Rubicon, just nuke it. Everything's weak to nuke. And that was a twin harp. That is also required for complete Cave Magnus.
All right, so that's one thing that we have to get done. We still are going to do this tower key as well, so we're going to have one more check, but that's a fantastic pickup from Poydrick. Poydrick hasn't, oh yeah, he does have his foo, so he's set up, really pretty well right now. Oh, heads up play here by Poydrick. He stops short and says, we're going to have a comedian here almost immediately. So before he steps forward, he is putting status effects on his entire party. Rybon just says, I'm not going to be picky about it. Everyone's piggy. Call it good.
Of course, with that Avenger Cecil is going to try and hit several times.
Yes, it is. For those of you, again, if this is your first time watching Free Enterprise, here's the reason that we cast spells and piggies and anything. If you have a status effect on your party, you cannot be held by that hold gas. Now, the call will come through, and unless we have some death immunity items, people will still be knocked over. However, afterwards, we can queue up some attacks to really get this going to kill Golbez, because as soon as that retreat hits, we're good to go to deal damage, and Golbez should fall right over.
And Rybon, with the heads-up play, putting that Fire Claw on, immediately taking out that Golbez. Golbez having a fire weakness goes a lot faster. But Poydrak also taking out this Golbez, had his 2 mages alive, so very quickly just cast Virus on it. This spot has pittance of HP, so...
Yep, if you sneeze, it will accidentally fall over. It's fine.
Can I come back with an update?
Of course.
Okay.
We're getting more lore.
We're getting... Okay, well, no, because I said something incorrect, and I was just like, I'm going to double check this. Okay, so the whole thing with Yang attacking with a sword actually doesn't happen in the vanilla game, because Yang is programmed to try to attack Dark Knight Cecil. Doesn't have the vanilla game. I'm talking about vanilla game. So Yang is programmed to try and attack Dark Knight Cecil, which is obviously clearly not going to be in your party when you encounter the karate, the Baron Inn fight in the original game. So instead, he only kicks. And then basically, it was actually a member of our commentary team, Deathlike, who figured this all out. It's neat that Free Enterprise kind of like restores this sort of like attack that was supposed to be there all along. So, there you go. I'll have to ask Deathlike about it because now I'm curious. But, there, chat, I actually did go and I did some research.
Well, thank you for the update. And we also had a very nice key item show up.
Nice.
Yep, it was a darkness crystal there from that tower key pickup. Poydrick also turning in his freebie, just finding a heroin robe.
I mean, it's money.
True, we're not, at this point in time, well, Poydrick can still use it because he has a Porum, but most the rest of us look like... Oh, it's interesting. Okay, Enjadave hasn't picked up his foo yet, so it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do. I think Rex did take his foo as well. So there is a Baron key also from Dwarf Castle that everyone has also picked up. But Poydrick is doing, I think, the one rule of Free Enterprise that if you ever do decide to speedrun Free Enterprise, there's one rule that everyone has. Do your objectives, because they can lead into getting more objectives being done. And in this case, Poydrick says, yep, I'm going to go complete Cave Magnus because that is the thing I can do right now.
Yep, this is definitely the correct pathing choice because it's required. You don't know, it could have, we're missing half of our other two objectives. It could have the Baron Guards behind it. Plus, we just really like music in this community.
We really do. It's a neat little treat that DJ Spoony B, he's one of those creative bards that's out there, and he recognizes that the evil tune to help change and break the spell is a little bit different in every seed. Luckily, he knows what that magic tune is, so he's going to share it with us no matter where it comes from.
And a huge shout out to Xenocat, who is our current music dev, been putting in absolutely massive amounts of songs. She just does fantastic work. We've also got songs from Calamity and from Boardface, and I will be kind and not talk through music today.
Okay, so that was a little bit of vanilla, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was slightly unexpected.
Okay, not vanilla, but like vanilla adjacent. Like it's not French vanilla, and that's vanilla, Earth Crystal.
That, I mean, I love a good Earth Crystal or a good Twin Harp into Earth Crystal in the Baron Key loop. That makes my heart happy. But yes, that was Rydia's theme. One of those things that we don't often get to hear in Free Enterprise because we don't have regular pickups for characters like we normally do. But it's sort of vanilla because at least it's in the video game that we're playing right now.
Sort of vanilla. So, like, when I say vanilla adjacent, can we say strawberry because it's the one that's next to vanilla in Neapolitan?
Sure, but now I want ice cream for dinner. Which, when you have ice cream for lunch, you probably shouldn't have ice cream for dinner. But Poydrak, taking that, oh, we're going to do music again.
All right, so Rybon picking up that Earth Crystal. Poidric is immediately turning in this Earth Crystal, which I kind of like the order of operations here. Immediately turning in the Earth Crystal because then the game dumps you off just outside of Baron, so you can do Baron. We do see that Rex has finished that up. It looks like that was a package that was, of course, given to us in Baron, but now we're doing the Baron Basement drone check.
And Poidrak finding a Rosa. You think it's too late to take that Rosa?
Yeah, 47 minutes in, you've already done at least a little bit of a grind. You're halfway through. You set up with a Fu and your other white mage. I'm content without a Rosa, honestly.
And Rex Banner finding another Fu in the Baron Castle. So let's just have all Fus all the time.
Meanwhile, Rybon doing the treasury, which I barely saw it, so we didn't wind up with rate that treasury or anything. But a couple of Stardust rods, I saw Poison Claw, and at least one Power Shirt. Although I didn't see anything for our Cecil to swing other than that Avenger that we have.
Yeah, unfortunately not finding the big holy sticks today. But I mean, an Avenger's fine, and there's always, if we forge, we get a nice shiny Excalibur.
Duke Darkwood, Fu can equip both staves and rods, so both of our Fu and Palom are perfectly happy. I think we've seen some life staffs around as well, so our white mages are fine if they need some stat sticks as well.
Ooh, and only getting a Zeus Gauntlet from the Earth Crystal. Unfortunately, not one of our key items needed, and we did not find a character up there, but the treasury was still really good.
All right, so right now, when it comes to other checks that we can still make here on the blue planet, so to speak, I think the only thing that we're missing that we as a viewing audience have not seen would be those two Feymarch checks, because I think up to this point in time we've seen all the other checks in the overworld. We've seen Earth Crystal, we've seen Baron Key turn-ins, we've seen the harp, of course. I think all things combined, yeah, it's just Feymarch checks and then to the moon.
Yep. So, at this point, do you risk possibly finding something on what is likely either a Wyvern or an Ogopogo? You get one or the other, or both? Or do you head up to the moon and see if you can find something up there?
Here's the thing. I think with this party, Ogopogo would not be that bad. I'm not casting any spells on it. I am merely devoting everything that I have for my party to, okay, we're going to Zerk everyone up. We're going to Zerk the melee characters up anyway. We're going to heal up, and we're just going to try to survive. And I think you can get through Ogopogo that way. Wyvern would be interesting. I know I've seen a Dwarfax around. Equipping that on your Cecil and trying to slow everything way down might get us to the point where we can set up some reflex on him. It might be difficult, but it might be doable. And let's face it, if we're guaranteed one, maybe both of those at that spot, then here's the thing about free enterprise. If you can do what you know the rest of the community race doesn't like to do or doesn't want to do, that's advantage to your race routing.
Just as long as you can do it quickly. But yeah, definitely most people who have seen the bosses available are going to fade those locations because nobody wants to do Wyvern at either of those spots. Question in chat, is this vanilla agility? It is not. So your agility will be based on your center character.
Yeah, this was, if not the first tournament, shortly after the tournaments where we turned vanilla agility off, reintroducing Cecil into, from the immediately boot him out of your party if you can because his agility is a little bit difficult to control, to immediately keep him in your party because on the off chance that you get a holy stick, he becomes a walking nightmare and DPS machine.
But let's see where Poydrak is going to head. Looks like Poydrak might go ahead and turn in that package. We are looking for an Edward. That's not an Edward.
Duke Darkwood, Vanilla Giant. Yes! Okay, so this is another Free Enterprise Heritage moment. Vanilla Giant was added to this particular flag set specifically as a way to try to nerf the Dean Machine grind. Previous tournaments, the Dean Machine grind had become almost the exclusive way people would grind up and level up. It was just incredibly powerful, especially for mage group parties. So the idea being, if we turned Vanilla Giant on with the idea to disincentivize it, because once you got to the Giant, you had to complete the whole thing. So yes, Vanilla Giant was in particular added to this flag set for the Laliho League on purpose because of how painful it was.
Yes, and we never did that again.
Yeah, because immediately people complained, and I don't know if people complained or not, but it was less fun.
We've just accepted that there is going to be grinds. Let's just do the grind as quickly and as efficiently as possible so we can get to the other fun stuff in the seed. But Rex Banner getting his Darkness Crystal, Rybon getting his second foo, Poydrak stoning an officer. And unfortunately, still haven't really gotten any of our... Oh, that's an Edge. I thought it was a Porum. Well, it's still not an Edward. But we'll see. Looks like Rex Banner is going to turn in that harp, but we'll see where Rybon and Poydrak want to head next.
We are quickly running out of locations here. Okay, Rybon had... Oh, Rybon's going to check the package spot. But it does look like Poydrak says, you know what? It's Sparkle time.
Poydrak is one of those runners who has been in the community far longer than I think most of us. Very good runner, knows he can do these fights. knows that a lot of runners are going to disincentivize these.
Yeah, Poidric, you're absolutely right. He's been a member of the community for a long time. Certainly capable and confident, right up there with the top tier runners. So not even surprising if he's coming down here. Also picking up a couple sirens in the meantime.
Yep, I doubt he has any interest in doing a D-machine grind. Sirens are easier, safer, in some cases faster, and you don't have to fight the bosses here on the Giant.
Ninja Dave really committing here to getting this edge. It's a little surprising. Now, he's had Hanzo Steel for a while. Probably looking for a quad Zerker party. A little bit of party diversity, maybe even. Oh. Wow.
NG Dave taking the gamble that none of the rest of this, most other runners would not take, finding the Baron Guards, of all people, going to be rewarded greatly for this. Likely the only one of our runners on screen right now that is going to have Objective 5.
This was considered a gamble play even back in our most recent ZZ5 tournament that was all boss hunts. The package boss is so out of the way and can be so just so time consuming to get to. For hunting for one boss and it being there, advantage Ninja Dave, especially the more we know, the deeper this Edward is hidden. Edward could be here on the moon, but depending on what other key items are hidden, I mean, Dave still doesn't have the Twin Harp yet, though.
So NG Dave has not done Dwarf Castle or Tower, I believe. Or maybe it's just all Tower. Yeah, it's just all Tower. But we see Poidrak and Rybon both heading to the moon. We will very soon see who the character here is. If this is an Edward, that really just puts where's the hook, where's the legend sword. And there's a lot of key items on the moon.
Absolutely. I think there's, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? 7 key items on the moon, 6 bosses?
Yes. Plague taught me to count to 10.
Yeah, I forget every now and then and forget I have to. All right, so Rybon showing us. Oh, that's Iridia.
That is a Rosa.
Rosa, sorry. Thank you. I heard the whisper in my ears, like, what's going on? No, Rosa. That's what I meant. But what I'm especially meant to say is that's not an Edward, which means Edward is in a very isolated location, likely on that Giant.
Yeah, either the Giant or the hook route at this point.
So when it comes to key items that we're on the lookout for, we still need to find the Legend Sword, we still need to find the hook. Those are the 2 key items. Now, here's the interesting thing. As Rybon shows us a 3 boss in King and Queen Evelyn at the Mura location. If there is an early hook, I imagine our runners are going to try to get that. 1, because we turn into Pinktail. 2, if it happens to be Edward, that's fine. But Dave right now is the only one who's going to be able to like fully cash in on that. Oh my god, I mean, that guards play, the further down into into the lunar subterrane that we have to go digging for either Edward or any of the other key items, just the better that package play is going to end up being for him.
Definitely. Now, we do find a freebie here on the moon. This is certainly where you would like to see King Queen Eblin, although Cecil with an Avenger making this a little bit slower than it needed to be. Cecil, please, just let them have their moment. But Poydrak heading straight down, gonna go ahead and probably gonna go for density of checks.
Yep, it's always that conversation. You know, do you do bottom down or top down or bottom up? Just a white shirt in the Murrah altar, so now we go down for density.
I think knowing that you have at least 2 key items required, I would definitely personally go for density over top down. Although they don't know that where the guards are, so you find those guards top up. Again, it comes down to what kind of plays do you make that your opponents might not.
It's true. No, I mean, knowing what the runners know at each individual spot, I mean, the bottom up play makes sense because we're looking for multiple key items and a boss check right now. They don't know what we know about the guards being in that package location, but it's still a lot of quick checks on the other side. Also, I just want to say, hey, I see you, Sheep Launcher. I get the joke. Haha. We're old because no one else gets that joke, Sheep. But meanwhile, it is too old. Anyway, Poydrak taking a warlock grind here, casting mute on the warlocks makes this relatively easy and pretty straightforward to get through.
Yep, Poydrak remembering, hey, I want to do warlocks. Warlocks are a lot easier to do on the moon than, say, gold dragons if I don't have hourglasses. And Rybon gonna go ahead and take on this, ooh. This is Asura. Asura, not a great boss here. There's a lot of HP. A lot of HP.
Lots of HP. Luckily, we have a Fu who's able to cast, the wall trick that you're supposed to cast on Asura in her vanilla location. Depending on where she's at, you can get around that with some other things, but otherwise, she's still a little punchy here, though.
Yeah, let Asura hit things. Also, Frith, I am definitely getting ice cream after this because I have ice cream in my freezer, so I'm going to have ice cream twice today because I'm a grown-up.
Look, all I know is that when you're adult, you get to figure out what being an adult means, and you get to define it. That's all I'm going to say on it.
Well, adulting today is ice cream for breakfast and dinner.
Sounds good to me. So Rex Banner making the plunge. He's like, okay, I know where one of my characters has to be on the giant. I think. I mean, we haven't done Hook yet, so it's possible that Edward isn't here. But this is 2 bosses, and 2 relatively difficult bosses for 1 key item. This is kind of an interesting conundrum. So it's 2 bosses to get you're pretty sure one of the objectives done. Or you can take a swing at doing some of the bosses in the underworld and hope that you're getting some of the objectives done. So, kind of an interesting... I don't know. Maybe it's less of a gamble than I think.
That's Baigan.
Yeah,
There were bosses that I would never want to see here, and this is probably pretty high on that list.
Yeah, this is bad. Baigan is just horrible here.
But looks like Poydrak has finished up his Warlock grind and gonna go ahead and take on some of these fights here. And NG Dave is going to give us the last rendition of music, I believe. Well, if Dark Elf could ever kill the foos.
Okay, so in the meantime, Rybon does pick up another power shirt and the Luca key from that Asura fight. So one more key item location available on the moon.
Yep, Luca key, not the dream. It's a nasty check, definitely something you're not going to go back for. You're not going to fade the rest of the moon to go check it. But there can just be some really icky bosses there. Speaking of icky bosses.
Well, I mean, that gives us some clarity as to what's down the Fame Arch.
Yes, but the now we're back to Schrodinger's Wyvern. Is Wyvern in spot 1 or spot 2?
The question becomes, which place are we hoping it's at?
Well, are we feeling hateful or are we feeling sorry for the runners?
I'm feeling like I'm not playing this seed, so whatever's most entertaining to chat.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Asura spot is faster.
Significantly faster, yes.
Also, Rybon fighting this Ogopogo, getting the that reason why you always full heal your party, because you always want them at least over half, and that is just a Bahamut summon. Where are these key items?
Well, we still have 3 boss checks and 3 key items left on the moon. The Masa spot, we have the Crystal Sword Altar, and then, ironically, Cave Value hasn't been checked yet.
Well, Rybon going to go ahead and give us the check here at the Ogopogo spot. And this is just rude. It's not even hard, it's just rude.
Yeah, this is a boatload of HP to chew through with Mom Bomb here. It's not particularly punchy. It's just, yeah, it's just a pain.
Oh, and Rex unfortunately taking a wipe there to that Baigan. Baigan there is just not a joke. But looks like gonna go ahead and join Rybon and Poydrak up on the moon.
if that Edward ends up actually being on, exactly where we think it is, there on the giant, that Baigan is going to be. I don't know which is a worse gatekeeper. If it's there, or if anything is locked behind a Wyvern at Asura. Like, those are both just really, really nasty places.
And Duke Darkwood in chat asking if K Summon is on. K Summon is on for this flag set.
Yeah. So it looks like Rybon found the rat tail, and is from that Mom Bomb spot, and is now on his way to Crystal Sword Altar. It's interesting, just trying to get as many of the other key items as we possibly can. This is shaping up to be almost a full 17-17 seed, isn't it?
I think so, unless we get exactly the Legend Sword here and the the hook from the Bahamut spot. I think both items are behind a chain.
Well, we can't turn in the rat tail until we have the hook anyway. It's entirely possible for that to be kind of hidden. Let's see, what else are we still missing? We're still missing Spoon.
Spoon is Barren Basement.
Okay, well, never mind that.
Yeah, most of our runners were like, no, I'm not. That's not worth the walk. Also, Dr. Lugay, just another one of those bosses. You're just like, yeah, you're weak to microwaves. But NG Dave has finished up his Tower of Zot run, and I would suspect will likely join everyone else up on the moon very shortly.
Certainly seems to be headed in that direction. However, Rybon, we have Cave Value over here. Bahamut Cave is all that's left. So he cleared Looter Subterranean. That was just a protect ring. So we're close. We've only really found Rat Tail and Luca Key up here on the moon. It would be really rude if it was Rat Tail and our hook is still back on Earth there in the Fey March. So I'm kind of hoping for that right now.
Well, or it could be we still have a pan outstanding. It could be everything behind that pan at this point. Also, Rybon doing what I do every time I walk into the Bahamut Cave, and I hold up, because you hold up to go into the cave, and then you go down, and you leave the cave. And as chat pointed out, we do still have that Fey March with Plague. Plague and Wyvern.
Yep, Fey March is still there, so we'll see what key item this evil wall at Bahamut. It's man, this is also punchy. There's a lot of punchy bosses hint up on the moon tonight, isn't there?
Yeah, if we didn't have literal HP sponges, this could be a little nastier, but I think we're going to bring this wall down.
Taco Melt's question is Wyvern Blarg. Yes, the Witchburn flag is not turned on. So Wyvern is absolutely going to blarg all over our party with his Mega Nuke spell fairly quickly as soon as the fight engages. So getting these levels is not necessarily a bad thing for the party right now. Rybon is set up so that Sid's his anchor, and in the middle slot with a Dwarf Axe on there, the rest of the party should be able to keep, get at least a couple reflects on. We'll have to remember to take that Avenger Sword off Cecil, though.
Well, and this wall, very, very punchy, very, very angry. And Rybon was trying to get a Moon Veil up. Unfortunately lost it, but still got through the fight.
I'm not sad to see that. I'm not planning on coming back to the moon anyway.
So at this point, I think our runners either have to check Feymarch or they have to check that Luca key.
And realistically, from a routing perspective, if you've committed all this time going to the moon, the first thing you're going to want to do is to fulfill those checks that you found on the moon. So Luca key, I have to imagine, is the first thing that we're going to do. Because if you faded Feymarch up to this point in time, you're thinking, hey, in a community race, I've faded it this long. If the solution is there, I've already lost. So you're going to keep following that Luca key, I think.
Absolutely. And now we'll see in a community race setting, definitely much different than a 1v1 setting where you either win or you lose. Community race, you're just like, I would like to be in the top half.
Yeah, absolutely. To win a community race require, especially when we start getting larger community races, 10 or more people, to win a community race at that point requires almost optimal routing and can require some really outrageous gambles, like we saw Enjade doing earlier to find those guards. Now, if it's just a 1v1 race, the only person you have to beat out and be more efficient is one other person. So you only have to compare what you do and what you don't do to that one other person. So if this was a 1v1 race, I could see Rybon going ahead and doing Feymarch just because it's a more efficient check, 2 versus 1. But in a large community race, it's, hey, follow your gambles.
Question in chat about what was from the rat tail. We do not have the hook yet. So unfortunately, we still can't turn that in, even though we both have the rat tail and the pink tail.
Yeah, that's always something that you forget every now and then, right? That, oh, I have the tails, I can turn them in. No, without the hook, you can't.
Well, and especially after our last tournament where it was required hook to get underground, so you always had the hook, and that is just a crystal glove. So everything is behind that Feymarch.
Here's the thing, we know, and hey, I'm glad to see Val out of the boss pool as well. So we know one of those bosses is going to be free. Plague, after walking through all the poison steps, is actually really pretty free in the Feymarch. The problem is the Blarg is not so free.
Yeah, it's really not. And of course, we don't know which one is which because none of our runners on stream checked which bosses were there on their first or sometimes second trip. So, yeah, it could be Plague at Asura, at which point that count is going to go real fast, or it could be Plague at Wyvern, or Wyvern at Asura, at which point that Mega Nuke is going to come out real fast.
Yeah, I think at this point I would commit to slowing down that Sid as much as I can, putting it on Wyvern Standard Time, Battle Speed 6, and at that point, YOLO, right? Just pick one and pray.
And Rybon is taking out the Asura spot first, and it is that plague. Gonna go ahead, use the last two of the Bacchus.
Here's the thing, though, with the two Yongs punching and Cecil with the Avenger Sword, killing off the Cid is fine, and now the queue is going to be so clogged that no one is actually going to die from this.
See, I always still get really freaked out, so I will also berserk that foo, but that's just paranoia on my part.
Or, we just out-damage everything and don't worry about it.
That's fine too.
Just the Dragoon Lance. Okay, so let's do some math here.
And I do believe Poidrak is going to go ahead and attempt that giant. And question in chat from Sheep Launcher. Yes, Sheila 1 was the tower key which led to the darkness crystal. Gotta say that Foo has got some beefy magic defense. Did not get a max roll on there. I mean, he still died, of course, but it was only 8,000.
That's worthwhile when you're in this spot with the Blar. This is a pretty high magic attack spot, as I recall.
But we are going to see Poidrak go ahead and try out this buy again. I have a feeling he might have a little bit better luck just having the extra levels from the moon. And Poidrak also remembering that you don't have to tent there because you get a full heal.
Injidave getting his rat tail. Rexmander also taking another dive into the lunar subterrane. This is... here's the thing. We know that one of our puzzle pieces is buried in that package. Okay, so there's the hook. I got to imagine the very first thing that Rybon's going to do is check that character spot.
I would definitely think so. Character, then probably character and shop, and then straight into the rat tail, which has to lead to the pan. Because we're all out of checks otherwise.
Yeah, it has to lead to the pan, and then the pan has to lead to the legend sword, and something else, probably.
It'll be another white shirt.
Probably. And yeah, Hook is 50-50 on Edward. We don't know if Edward is in the Hook route or on the Giant. We're presuming it would be on the Giant for the lulz, because that would be hilarious right now.
I'm trying to do math in my head, which is a scary prospect, but it is distinct 10, so there is a chance that it could be both. And this does make sense too. You know that this leads to value, so go ahead, grab this, move the hovercraft. You know you don't have to move it again, and if it's nothing, you can just reset out.
And Allie, your prediction was absolutely right. Poidric having a wee bit easier time with this particular Baigan fight when everyone has over 2,000 health. Even your foos have over 2,000 health at this point.
And reflecting those nukes back definitely helps when he has no arms, so you don't have to worry about reflecting it to one of the arms. Like that. But yeah, Rybon, not even checking the shop, knows he has everything he needs. This is going to either be a very quick check and reset, or we are going to pick up that Edward. And I just thought of something, Batasia. Rybon might check the boss down here in the first spot.
He could, because we haven't seen it. And that's just a cane. Oh, we haven't. That's another character that we have not seen. So Edward is on the giant. Whew.
If you are these runners, do you gamble that package before you go up to the giant?
I made this.
I thank you, Scala.
Sorry.
This is a seed you should be proud of, by the
Yay!
way. This is one that you should be putting the top 5 of rudest seeds with a flag set ever.
Yay!
Because not only is it Eddie behind Vanilla Giant, it is required, one of the required bosses behind Package.
I know, I'm so proud.
Honestly, this is one of those seats where if I'm looking for Edward and it has to be on the giant with 2 bosses, or doing like a 2-minute check for a cutscene to see if the boss is there on Package, I think I'm checking Package. ZZ5 may have traumatized me, but for whatever reason, I'm thinking, hey, I'm taking that 33% chance at that point. I've seen every other boss. I know that I have a 1 in 3 chance. It's like, okay, it's Package or 2 bosses on the giant. I'll take that 1/3 roll.
Well, and here is the moment of truth. Rybon's gonna, of course, go get his pan bonk, but after that, Rybon, where do you go? But there is that Edward for Poidrak. And I would suspect that we will see a very similar sort of routing taken from Poidrak with that Luca key and the 2 bosses in the Fey March. Ooh, a moon veil.
So it is officially a full 17/17. We got to go do Sheila 2 to get the Legend Sword. I mean, this is a true masterpiece. And keep in mind, these are, I would say these runners here are among some of the best that we have in our community. And this is turning into a seed that we're not going to see done before 145, 150 as a winning time. So this is taking a bit of time.
Yeah, this is miserable. But there's the Legend Sword. We knew it had to be there.
I considered running in the race tonight because I love the Laliho League flags, This was the last tournament that I got top 16 in, so I have a special affinity for these particular flags. And then I said, you know what? I know we need some people behind the scenes to work as well, so I'm just going to sign up for comms. And if I pick for comms, I won't run it, and if otherwise, I will run it. So thank you for picking me for comms, whoever did so, because I would have thrown my controller against the wall in this seed. It would have made me miserable.
Would you say you would have had a little bit of bad karma for doing that?
I see what you did there. Yes.
And at long last, we will also get a sword for Cecil. And I love how Rybon's not even interested in what they're selling. He's just like, I need to get this done. What do I do?
Rybon?
Misclick maybe?
Yeah, Misclick. He's going to the giant. He says, I know where I gotta go. It's not a bad play. If you know where an objective is and you have to do 2 bosses to do it versus taking that 1/3 gamble.
Yep. You know for sure what you need is up here versus that slimmer possibility of maybe saving a little bit of time.
It's worth pointing out to everyone that while we have our 4 featured runners here, we also have a larger community race going on that's running the same set. No one has finished yet. And no one finishing in a community race at 135, I think, highlights just how horrible this seed has been. This is an absolute goblin of a seed.
Yep, this is so incredibly rude. And Poydrak, unfortunately, getting blarged and not being able to get those star veils up. Gonna try it again, though. Maybe turn down the battle speed just a minute. Oh, gonna go ahead and do the plague first. And chat asking if anyone else even checked the character in the package. Everyone checked the character, but NG Dave was the only one who took it and took the character all the way to the bed.
And Baigen doing Rybon a favor and saying, yeah, thank you for punching out my Sid, so I do not have to keep him knocked down. Do not want that Sid needing any levels, trying to keep him as low as possible for that wonderful, sweet, sweet agility angle.
Yep, especially for a melee party like this, you want to make sure your Z fight is going to be as smooth as possible. Whereas Rex Banner also back here in this Baigen fight and has a little bit of a different party setup, having a Quake Kid plus 2 Fusoyas. Definitely going to have a much different fight than some of our other runners.
Helios is making an interesting observation in chat. Poidric has not set up any sort of agility anchoring with his party. He's got a Fu with a ninja hat on in the center slot and Crystal Ring, so that's speeding that up quite a bit. Really though, everyone else can see they have a Sid in their center slot with minimal levels so that the agility doesn't get too high. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, agility is the black magic of free enterprise, and to summarize, the rest of the enemies in the game don't actually have a native speed. Like, how fast they move is based on originally Cecil's speed and his agility. But with that turned off, we just put it whoever's in the center slot. Like, all the enemies will have their speed based on the center slot. So having a really speedy person in that center slot will make all the enemies faster. Having a really slow and low agility person in that center slot makes all the enemies slower, and thereby the rest of your party faster.
Yep. There's definitely some deep math into it, but for Wyvern especially, the slower your middle character, your anchor, the better.
Now, I did see a Dwarfax in Poidric's spot. At this point, I would be committing Dwarfax is -5 agility, put that on your Cecil, put him in the center slot, turn battle speed down all the way to 6. I think you might be able to get at least one Star Veil off.
Poidric might also be on the hunt for a Cursed Ring.
Does look like that's what he's doing right now, running around trying to find a Cursed Ring. That's not fun, but we get it.
And yep, Poidric looks like just kind of looking for something that can help slow these characters down. Unfortunately, knows that C-Buy is on, which means we cannot go get a Sid. And that Edge, unfortunately, not going to do us a ton of good.
In the meantime, Rybon gets his Eddie, gets his 4 objectives. We're finally in Crystal, so we're going to have a very quick swag flight over here to Troya here directly. So first go mode officially, and we are off.
Yep, and about this time we start to ask a question when people start putting flags in chat. Come on, chat. There we go. Thank you. We start to ask a question about Zeromus, because he's kind of a boss that we can't put anywhere else. But Zeromus wants to get in on the randomization, and even though we can't put him at the Antlion Cave because nobody wants that but me, we could give him some different outfits. And Zeromus loves to cosplay, has a fantastic closet full of outfits. So we like to ask a question. Would you like to do the honors tonight?
Oh, sure. Okay. I want to make sure I get it right. What are we gonna kick tonight?
And can we deduct butt on taxes?
Yes, there's many questions that we ask after the primary butt question. We have secondary and tertiary butt questions. Is the butt cute? Does the butt wear a hat? Can we deduct butt from our taxes? Can the butt do taxes? There's Does the butt wear a hat? Is the hat cute?
But I think we are going to see a very quick fight from Rybon. We've got 3 Zerkers. We've got a Foo to make sure that our Zerkers can... Oh, go ahead. And unfortunately, it looks like Poydrak did forfeit, but does want to come in and do a quick interview. So we'll be joined by him in just a moment.
They call me Zeromus. I have metal joints. Beat me up and earn 15 silver points.
And we are joined by Poydrak.
Hello. Yeah, I can't beat Wyvern. Not with my exhausted.
Yeah, that was such a rude setup because Wyvern double blocks 2 objectives.
Yeah, I've done literally everything else. It's a fault of my own making, really, because of. I should have done it a little bit earlier when I had the chance. I should have at least checked to see what the bosses were, but yeah, I just waited too long and yeah, just couldn't get the right agility. And I'm pretty certain there's no cursed ring somewhere, unless it's in a chest somewhere that I'd have no idea about.
We did not see a curse ring on anyone else's stream, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, yeah. My problem of my own making. Yeah. It's something we've been we tried to work into our more recent things that we try to make it soft lock protection against Wyvern in those sorts of situations. This one, yeah, it is possible. It's just me just not doing it right. That's all, and that's fine because that's the way it works.
Well, you still played very well. Taking through those bosses. We will tell you where the Baron Guards are. They are through the package.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I was thinking it was maybe in Mist Cave, Hook, or Waterfall because those are the only spots I didn't do. I didn't even think about the package boss, but I was sort of hoping it wasn't that. So,
But yeah, what were your thoughts on the seed and just the flag set?
it was the seed itself was pretty good. Moon was haunted as normal, it seems. I think it was for this sort of flag set, but overall, it's a typical thing that I'm just playing everything as is. I really haven't checked the flag set out fully. I just jumped in today just to have a bit of fun, and yeah, I've had a lot of fun with it. It's going around everything and just doing it. Isn't ideal, but sometimes it works out that way.
Yep. Well, and I know that you've been around forever, so I'm sure you remember when we debuted this flag set back in the day.
Yeah, I was in that particular tournament, I believe. I should have been. Wow, I don't actually remember. I can't even remember what I did yesterday, but never mind.
You were around. I remember you being around for Laliho League. You can't deny your presence for that long.
Yeah, I know. I can't. But at least I got to show off the power of yarn of a couple of yarns, and yeah, fun times. I'll be back again, I'm sure, and hopefully next time I won't hurt myself.
Well, we definitely look forward to seeing you then.
Yeah, no worries. Have a good evening, everyone. I'll see everyone soon.
Thanks, Poydrak. And during that, we actually had Rybon go ahead and finish. He had an official time of 1 hour, 44 minutes, and 33 seconds. He is our first place finisher, both on Restream and in the community race at whole. GG's to you.
Thanks, Allie. I think finishing this race at all is victory enough. I mean, after the last Scala seed I had for Laliho, where the moon was completely haunted, it sure felt like it was going to be that way this time around too, but that rat tail really paid off, I guess.
Yeah, that rat tail kind of necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, so the rat tail ended up getting us the pan, which ended up getting us the adamant rock. But, you know, that was...
Yeah.
So, those guards...
Yeah, I had this inkling of like, I've done literally everything. So they're the 2 and 3 shot. The guards are waiting with Eddie on the giant. Maybe I should just check the package for the 1 and 3. That'd save a lot of time, and that might be the winning play. But nah, let's just play it safe. Get a few more levels on, the Yang. They like levels. 5k HP Yang is pretty cool. And I'll take the 67% chance that I do all 5 objectives, vice not. But it looks like the package was actually the play today.
Yep, we did have one runner on stream, NG Dave, who did check that package very early. But the only one who had that knowledge. But yeah, even with taking the 2/3, which definitely mathematically was the correct play, managed to pull out a win.
Yeah, it was a rather difficult seed early on. No significant power that I found, at least. Even going underground, sure, we got sirens, but we have no way to kill eggs. And a Porum and a Young are fantastic characters to have to give them an early sling, but those coffins, those hourglasses never showed up. I was looting in Feymarsh, looting in Sylph Cave, hoping for like one to pop up. Never actually happened, though. Eventually, Palom showed up, and we were able to twin our way into a few levels, which was nice, but prior to that, life was a little difficult.
Well, and just not finding much for that Cecil once you found him.
Yeah, absolutely. I found that Avenger my first time down Feymarsh. I'm like, this is cool, but we can do better. So let's go to Eblin. Eblin has I think I've heard Fiery Blizzard or a few others say there's like a 70% chance on T-Wildish to find something awesome for Cecil at Eblin. And when that didn't pan out, I'm like, well, this was wasted time. Maybe I should have just stuck with that Avenger, which is what I ended up doing for most of the seed anyway. I mean, sure, we did get that Excal at the end for a whole 3 fights, which was nice, but having it earlier would have been nice too. Keep on wondering, maybe I should have done like Sylph Trap or something like that and try to spike something for a little more power, because a lot of those fights up on the moon, Asura most especially, took quite a while.
Yeah, Avenger's great until it's all you have. But tell us what you thought about the seed and the flag set in general.
Other than the rough start and the rough moon, it really felt like, well, I'm behind the entire time I'm playing this, because someone probably did giant and, found the 2 out of 3 guards up there, found guards up there with Edward. So it really felt like I was behind the entire time. But sometimes when you're having trouble, everyone else is probably having a little bit of difficulty as well. So it was a very rude seed. Bravo, Scala. Thank you very much for rolling it. Very different. Appreciate it. Very different from the Friday community race, which was kind of a jet. I think a lot of finishers in 110 or less. But yeah, it was a great time.
Well, awesome. Vitasia, did you have any questions?
No, just I think kudos and congrats is for anyone who manages to survive this seed at this point in time. Between the guards that package and a required Edward, behind a vanilla giant, all locked behind a wyvern in the Fey March, just everything is stacking up to be, I think, a top 5 Scala seed all time. So kudos to you for even surviving.
Sometimes survival is victory in and of itself. But hey, I'm gonna let y'all go. I've been taking enough of your time. Scala, Vatasia, Zaldi, Ali, you're all great. Thank you very much for putting this on, and I'll step out. You'll have a good one.
Thanks. Have a wonderful night. And that was our first place finisher, Rybon. And we have NG Dave starting the fight here with a Gatomus, while Rex Banner is just getting his crystal.
Yep, everyone's starting to figure out, well, not that there's much to figure out, but there's just nothing else to do in this seed. Now, worth noting, while everyone else has kind of power overwhelming right now, Engineer didn't have to go through the giant at all. He never had to get the Edward because he did the guard, so he's a little bit lower level than everyone else who's doing, Gatomus for this round. Might mean the Zeromus fight is at least a little bit slower. Couple Cecil swings maybe, but otherwise the party's set up certainly just fine.
Well, and Rex Banner also has 3 mages in his party, so I think we're going to see probably some reflect strats. But having that edge with some nice Hanzo steel is putting out some nice damage there, and then the 2 foos are just there for safety.
Yeah, that seems fair. And between the Hanzo steel and the Excalibur into the Avenger glitch, this is going to be over relatively quick. My only concern on Dave's side is at these levels, with the party swinging for about this much, might go into a wombo combo here. A Big Bang immediately into Meteor phase. But he has a Cure 4 queued up and ready to roll. Oh, or he did until that foo died.
That's alright, we have a bonus foo.
But there's that wombo combo with the Meteo. Oh no.
We're in danger. Cecil pulling it out, saves it. And NG Dave has finished in second place with a time of 1 hour, 55 minutes, and 18 seconds.
GG's, Dave. Again, pulling that out. I was worried about that combo, but is able to pull it out. He does finish in second place at 155.18. Another member of the community, Microcourse, finishes right behind him at 155.40. So, GG's, Dave, and we are now joined by Dave.
Hello, everyone. GG's to Rybon for smoking everyone in this race.
What did you think of the seed?
Well, the beginning of that was how not to play in for Enterprise Seed with Dave.
Now, you were the only one of our runners on stream to make that gamble with the package.
Honestly, I just wanted the edge. I had weapons for him.
Very true, and you were very much reported with it, not having to take on Baigen in the...
Yeah.
Baigen was at the element spot.
I kind of, given that no one had finished in forever, I kind of guessed Eddie was on the moon, or on the giant. Which is why, and I had 3 cannon checks left when I found the hook, so it's like, yeah, I'll just clear out what's left on the blue plane and call it a day.
Yep, that hook, of course, being hard required by Wyvern at Leviathan was also not nice.
No, it's not. Arty arrows, however, Wyvern's a little bit allergic to those.
Where did we find Arty arrows?
Somewhere on the moon.
Oh, well, those certainly came in handy.
That's not the only useful thing to come out of that place. Well, I guess
you did find the rat tail.
True, I guess the forge did come out of there eventually. So it was like
it needed a lot of work.
Like what? Rat to Pan to Sheila 2 had it?
Yep. It was buried pretty deep in that chain. But give us your thoughts on the flag set in general.
Well, as I said last week, this flag set was where I came into Free Enterprise. I joined the community about like 2-3 weeks, maybe a month before the Laliho League tournament started. So it's a fun, decent power flag set.
Yeah, well, and with this particular set of objectives and just where everything fell, doing a wonderful job of just kind of getting through it.
Yeah, instantly the intro to that seed going immediately underground. Yang and Porum really want levels. I was gambling on Siren Coffin or Siren Hourglass.
And finding the one, but unfortunately not finding the other.
Unfortunately, had I just looted that one castle, I would have found a heroine robe and enough stuff to let Porum go full angry child for the first part of the seed. And free XP on Hobbs.
Very true, very true.
Also, I learned something today. Fang shells have more HP than you think they do.
Wait, which does?
Fang shells, the enemy in the gauntlet.
Oh, yes.
I thought
yes,
they only had like 100, so I was trying to kick them down. Like, why aren't you dying?
Yeah, they're like pink puffs. You're like, they should have. Why are you still alive? I've hit you several times. But Vitasia, did you have any last minute questions?
No, I think I've said it to every runner who's come in for an interview at this point in time. This was about survival. It was like survival itself is a victory for this particular seed. It's a top 5 Scala special.
Also, did you appreciate the little Lalihos at the start after me going underground?
I did appreciate that, Dave.
But any last minute thoughts?
It was a fun seed overall. Got rough at spots. Just did not route the early game well, which it hurt a lot, and honestly informed why I took the moon dive early, or took the moon dive because I found the darkness.
Makes sense.
So thank you, Scala, for rolling this wonderful seed. They're always fun to play. Zolly for pushing the buttons. I know I gave you a bunch of them. And you two, Ali and Vitasia, for talking about us running this.
Well, thank you so much for letting us talk about you while you were restreamed.
And I see we got a Rex banner waiting to come in, so I will make room for Rex.
Thanks so much, and
night.
You too. And we have Rex Banner, who finished in 4th place with a time of 1 hour, 58 minutes, and 9 seconds, and he should be joining us here just in a second.
In the meantime, and here he is, Rex Banner. GG's. Thank you for joining us, and congratulations on surviving the seed.
Oh, GG's to everyone. That was a fun seed.
Kind of tell us what you thought, especially with that starting magma key. Kind of what your thoughts were as soon as you saw that party and that first key item.
Please let there be a heroine robe and a bow for sale. Guess what? Neither of those existed.
Yeah, unfortunately, that heroine robe blocked behind Eblin. And I don't think we ever saw a good bow for sale until after you didn't need it anymore.
Nope, it was locked behind Baron when I finally found a samurai bow. So, yeah, the start of it was definitely a little rough. I saw the cat claws when I was in the Fey March. I'm like, no, I don't want Yong to do anything. I could find something for my Porum to do something. I'm like, and besides, I got the Avenger. I'm like, there's gotta be a Kane or, something up on Hobbs. And the funny joke Scala played on us. A second Yong.
You didn't want just all of these Yongs in your party?
No. There's a certain place in Yong in my party, and usually it's not in my party.
Well, and then the seed continuing with the doubles with that double foo.
Yeah, double foo though is at least, useful. It not a deal like such low MP on him, but it did give quite a bit of power once you got the two of them. It did open up a lot of the seed to you, so you could actually start going.
Yep. And kind of what are your thoughts on the flag set in general?
I like the Laliho flag set. It was the first tournament I got to compete in, so it will always have that. And overall, they're a fun little flag set. Just about guaranteed music. Always brings out music for folks to listen to. So that's always a good thing. They're fun. I find they're quite often, a fairly high finish. You get the odd quick ones, but usually you're stuck searching for something like officer or the guards that don't exist. I'm assuming they were probably sitting at a nice King Queen Eblin spot or behind the package.
Behind the package.
Yeah, so I don't know, I like the Laliho League. Like I said, it holds a spot because it was the first tournament I competed in, so they're a good set of flags.
Vitasia, did you have any questions?
I guess the one question, because we noticed with your party setup, like you said, you yeeted the Youngs. I mean, you were focused on Magic Party. Is that just, out of curiosity, is that your normal setup? You just prefer the Magic setup over everything else?
Yes and no. I do like Reflex Drax for Zeramis. You don't need to run around and try to find gear. Part of it is certain low-level characters are just hard to deal with, Yong being one of them. Up until Yong gets a bunch of levels, he just doesn't hold his own into the team, so I would rather have characters that can do something, so that's a big part of it. With having the two Yongs, I just wanted characters that could contribute off the start rather than leech until you get them into their mid-30s. Late 30s, into their 40s before they start actually putting out sustainable damage.
No, I mean, that makes sense. And I think everyone has different preferences to that. So I just wanted to know your preferences because I think yours was the only party setup that tended to go more towards magic, which is weird considering we had double foos available and everyone else had lots of melee set up. So it was just interesting to see, is all.
Yeah, with the cat claws available, once you got the levels on Yang, you definitely had something to work with. But I don't like Yang personally, so I will take almost any character over him.
Definitely makes sense. Did you have any last minute thoughts?
Nope. Just thank you folks for putting these on. Thank you to folks for commentary. LSA names I cannot say in Vitasia. Thank you for the commentary. Thank you Scala for the restream. Thank you Slade for the pushing of the buttons. And thanks to all the folks that came out to watch and support this. It's, couldn't do it without all of that put together. So thank you everyone. And thank you to all the racers that came out. It was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for letting us restream you.
Alrighty, you folks have yourselves a good evening, and we'll do this again at some point.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Thank you, you as well.
And I believe with that, we are finished with our broadcast for tonight, Vitasia.
Absolutely, but that does not mean that it's the end of Free Enterprise, if you want. We're going to raid over to John Burkhead, who looks like he's doing a Tango Seed along with Tall Grant. So make sure to show him a little bit of love over there. One last shout out to all of our restreamed runners in Dave, Poedric, Rex Banner, and Rybon. And of course, the folks behind the scenes, Scala Kitty, Zaldi, and Ali, one of my favorite co-commentators. Always a pleasure working with you.
Well, thanks so much, Vitasia. It is always a blast working with you as well. But we will see y'all. I believe our next broadcast this week is Pink Puff League, I think. Yes, Pink Puff League, 8 p.m. on Thursday. But for now, just go show John some love. Y'all have a wonderful night.